All right. Hello. I'm Saeri Wilde. I'm here with the lovely, enchanting Nisarg Nikiel. And we're going to talk about um, what happens in her aura and her journey as a reflector, and also these really unique events that she puts on in Greece coming up this spring and summer, I guess, technically. So welcome, Nisarg.
Thank you, Saeri, for inviting me once again. And I'm curious about what's going to happen.
It's always an adventure with us. So Nisarg's a reflector. I'm a projector. And yeah, today we've both had really full weeks, right? So which for me is just really highlighting how powerful the work is that you do, and what you've discovered about being you. And just before we started the recording, we started to talk about I feel that I'm really excited to get to share you with more people through videos, because I just find it to be really inspiring, whoever you are, to just witness like your radical experiment in your life. And I said, well, it's so inspiring because it's so radical to be yourself if you're a reflector. And you said, well, it's radical to be yourself whoever you are, right? So and I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. And like, to the mind, it's like, whoa, to be a reflector, like, what is that like? So is there anything coming up for you that you'd like to share about being in a radical experiment? And because you've been at it for a while now, and you studied with Ra, and he's a friend of yours too, so.
Well, radical it has been, and at the same time simple, I have to say. It hasn't always been simple, but it hasn't been simple, particularly in the beginning. What I kind of like had to go through in my internal processes, in the way of, in the process of kind of like clicking out of who I'm not and who I thought I was into who I am. And the radicalness was also simple in the sense that I really got to experience that the only thing that does it is really strategy. I mean, that's probably also what I like best about human design. I mean, I find all this knowledge incredibly interesting, fascinating, and I'm going to study it until I die, I'm sure, because I love it. But for me to get to, click into myself, become myself, recognize myself, meet myself, fall in love with myself, feel good in my own skin, it was just because I did what Ra told me in the most simple kind of a way, to stop initiating and follow my strategy as a reflector. And that meant initially kind of like just letting go. And the fears that would come up would be fears of like noticing how stuff started going away and life started kind of like flowing away from me and out of me, and it wasn't initially replaced by anything. It was just like, wow, it got emptier and emptier, and it was scary at the beginning, and yet, yeah, that did it. Basically, in a way, finally. It brought me to a place that I wouldn't want to miss for anything in the world anymore. No?
Oh,
And this is just something I wish for every, first of all, for every reflector for sure. And I can imagine that it might be a little bit more challenging initially for a reflector, maybe than for another type, even though I'm not sure. Because I imagine that to let go of this kind of artificially created security system, that was created out of the conditioning, the primary conditioning that we received, and carefully guarded and controlled and directed by the mind. It's so powerful, and that's the only thing we've always known. Only, that's what gave us everything. And to let go of that is scary, I imagine, for anybody. That's why, I know many people who study human design and love human design and love studying it, and it's a fantastic knowledge. But I also noticed that the same mind that is kind of controlling the not self-security system is then taking in the knowledge of human design and fortifying the prison walls
yeah.
with extra information. And it can so easily give the illusion that now I am the reflector or the projector or whatever.
Yeah. And this is how I have to be.
Yeah, now, and I really worked hard on myself, and now I'm really getting it, and actually, it's so easy to just become a modified version of the old of the old self.
Yeah.
And, the radicalness. I feel like the radicalness is helpful if one can manage it.
Well, you can also use design to be radical, to radically apply your mind to design. But that brings up a question I have for you. Well, for one thing, I just want to say, like, more and more I'm seeing, like, it might be the hardest for generators, because they have so much power to resist. That's what it looks like to me. I think it can be a blessing and it can be a curse, but everybody has their unique challenges, of course.
Yeah, I would not be able to say that, it's like, I have my experience, and of course, the one type that I can most easily relate to is, of course, a reflector, because I am a reflector. And
yeah.
That is also the reason why my heart is really kind of like beating for all the reflectors that are out there and haven't had the opportunity that I had, and so for me to be able to support reflectors the way I do it once a year in the reflector retreat is a kind of a highlight of the year. It's kind of like a heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's really connected with my deepest passion, because I know how difficult it can be, and I also know that no other type can really truly understand the reflector, and therefore also support the reflector really. And so, but I have been working for so many years now, teaching human design in so many countries with so many people, and I also got to see that it ain't easy for anyone in the beginning. Now that I feel, where I am now, actually, I sometimes think maybe to be a reflector in the end is the easiest, because I thought within myself, there is nothing that is putting any pressure on me that I have to be or do anything one way or the other,
Yeah.
Because there isn't any energy in me that is there to in some way assert itself, that everybody else has something, it needs to be utilized, it needs to be used. Yeah. And if you don't do it, you suffer. And if you do it in the wrong way, you suffer, so it's kind of like, I imagine sometimes that is more challenging, to have all this energy and somehow the mind is twisting all this energy around and controlling it and pushing it in such a way that, or it is hindering to do what it really is supposed to be doing, or it is pushing you, or whatever, you know. So it's kind of like, it can create a lot of internal pressure. A reflector, really alone for some time, really alone. And I'm meaning, you know, it's one thing if a reflector once in a while throughout the day has an hour free or 2 hours free. I'm not talking about that, you know, but really alone. That's why I always suggest a 1 month complete retreat out of the aura. Then everything goes away, and there is nothing inside that is that is putting any pressure to be or do. You know, it's just for me. Then a reflector can just kind of like be so connected and being moved moment to moment. I don't know, in a kind of effortless way. In the end, I mean, I feel right now where I am right now, honestly, I'm so happy with myself in my skin. I'm not anybody missing anything. I sometimes feel like when I see other people, particularly when I work and I see what problems they have and questions and difficulties, and then I thought, oh, maybe it's the easiest design after all to be a reflector. That's what I say. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a signature of really coming to an arrival of yourself, because I'm starting to feel that way too. Like things I thought were curses about my design, I'm just in love with it and grateful for it. So
yeah, that's what I thought. Probably the moment somebody is actually really kind of like at home, it doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
Also another thing that I want to always be careful about, to that a reflector is not in any way more special than any other type.
Mm-hmm.
Easily, you know, reflectors can go off on a trip, and not so reflector for sure, because that's what I thought in the beginning. Wow, at least I'm only 1%, and everybody thinks, wow, you know. But that's just it's just the same old movie. But it's just that we are these 4 different types, and it's just perfect the way it's set up, you know, and each has a different kind of a role, a different kind of contribution, and one is not better or worse or higher or lower or whatever than any other, you know. We are just different, you know, and for me that's really important to kind of like emphasize that also, you know, because when people hear, oh, only 1%, wow, so
special.
So special. You know, it's just different, you know, just different. And it's so important that a reflector understands, like every other type, how they are designed to navigate through life, to treat themselves, to be treated, and get on with their lives accordingly.
Yeah. And so it goes for everyone, right?
Absolutely, for everyone.
I mean, everybody is unique. So
absolutely.
I was just talking to a generator yesterday who only has spleen and sacral. You know, that's a trip. Okay, so here's a question for you. So you've mentioned study, and you know, you'll probably study for the rest of your life. And I find in connecting with you, you have a unique way of approaching that and teaching, as well as the way you receive. So I'd love to hear, you know, what is your approach? What's your philosophy? What's your experiment with studying human design?
So a philosophy I don't have. I mean, basically what hit me when human design came to me, because previously I have spent years and years and years already working in the field of energy. And before human design, I worked on the basis of the 7 chakra system, the 7 chakra, the seven bodies. In a very, very deep and precise way, I did karmic clearings, past life events. I was trained and then worked, you know, to be deeply, deeply, deeply connected with energy, you know, and really kind of like train my inborn sensitivity to a great height. So when human design came to me, I understood that this is a map that allows me to understand more precisely what I've been doing before, meaning energy. And so from the beginning, my interest was, okay, this is what is written in the book. This is what Ra is saying. What is my experience? And in which way can I transmit it that allows the person who receives it to also have an existential experience. And from the beginning, I always trusted my own sensitivity of, experiencing energy, experiencing different frequencies more than anything that was written in a book. So whatever, for me, the whole learning and then consequently also the teaching is that there is a theory and that can be taken and experimented with. It can be validated, and or not, and that's really up to every single person who receives it, if they want to do it or not. And this is my interest in working with it, my interest in teaching it, and it doesn't matter which level I teach. For me, it's always important that every new little thing somehow needs to become alive in the room, So that it can be, I don't know, it can be smelled, felt, heard, touched, and it can actually arrive at the other person in a way that, I don't know, the very cells go, wow, it's kind of like an understanding that is deeper than just kind of like the mind taking it in. And when, as a reflector, of course, when I transmit something and I'm in a group with a bunch of people, I'm always connected with the general frequency of the energy in the room, what's going on, and with the group as a whole, but then also with each individual. And I just pick up when something actually arrived or it didn't.
Yeah. It's so remarkable right now is like you answer questions before I ask them. Because I was going to say, so how do you do it? And then here you go. And that's how you do it. Like, I mean, I have a defined mind and head and.
How it's like, I'm not doing anything. That's the thing,
Yeah.
But it's really like I am kind of like immersed in the energy field. And I am, it's almost like I am bathing in it, fully immersed, and just picking up, I don't know, picking up everything. And that is moving me and that is guiding me side by side to the guidance that I receive through being connected to my own unique selfness, which I call, I call the reflector retreat from the not self to the no self.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a kind of a, it's like, it's not that we don't also have a self, but it's different, it's not like, it's a reflector can actually very clearly experience this inner connectedness of, what I could call, okay, this is me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And simultaneously to this, I'm also connected to where I am, to everything. That is kind of like, it's a funny thing because I'm both side by side. I'm completely immersed, in the energy and deeply connected with life as it is happening here now, there in the room with these people. While at the same time, I'm totally detached also and completely connected to myself. And that is the place actually that notices then everything. That's the place of awareness in me that allows me not to get lost with all of this, because it could easily happen, no?
Mm.
Kind of like get taken here and there, but to be able to understand what's going on. To be aware, and from that place to be a guide. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So as you're speaking, I'm like, I want that. I mean, not from like, I just love to experience that through you. I love to hear you talk about it, and I can feel it when you're talking about it. And yeah, I imagine people watching, you could start to just feel like how special it is to be with Nisarg being herself. And there are some opportunities coming up. There's well, if you're a reflector, she has her reflector retreat in May. Do you still have spaces open in that?
Just about. It's filling rapidly, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about it because there's a limited space for maximum 15 reflectors.
Yeah, it's very intimate.
And we are so it's important that really there is a lot of space for each reflector individually, and then there's a lot of space where we can also roam around and not be disturbed. And for that, it's only possible that we are 15.
Yeah.
And, but yet, I mean, we are already like 10 are signed up completely with payment and everything.
Yeah.
And, 4 more are waiting a few more days until their month is complete. So it's really like, yeah, it's filling up and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, me too. My spleen totally rang when you were saying that. I don't know why. I'm not a reflector. I want to go so bad.
Yeah, I mean, so many people write to me and they say, generators, when they find the homepage and they read about it and say, wow, this sounds so fascinating. I wish I could be there. I could be a reflector.
Well, and there are opportunities for other types. So like you and I are doing an experiment in a couple days online. So we're going to be playing with what Nisarg's talking about through a video meeting like this. So yeah, you can join us for that. It's just like $25, and we're just gonna play and see what happens. And that's open to everybody. So it's this magic that happens when people gather with you with this intention, to just be themselves, and then you receive and you do your disco ball thing.
I need to say something. It's like I'm not doing anything. That's the thing to understand,
Yeah.
Maybe in addition to what I said before, it's like just being there. It's almost like it seems to have the effect that space is being created. Just that space is being created, that slowly whoever is there, and usually people that come to any kind of group, they come all kind of like, cramped, I mean, hardly anybody has the space that he or she would need to breathe freely, to be as big and as particular and as eccentric maybe, and whatever, as they are designed to be. Everybody has learned to try to fit himself into some kind of a, box. So it seems like that with a reflector, and it's really just the presence, after some time what happens is space is being created, so that it happens on its own, that I can literally see how
fly off.
Yeah, how how the auras, the different auras, are kind of like getting out a little bit from the box, and and the wings get ruffled a little bit, the feathers get ruffled, and and in a very simple kind of a non-doing kind of a way, space is being created so that everybody can breathe more easily and feel themselves a little bit more. And from that place, for me, that is a starting point, that you can begin to actually look at yourself get to connect with what's going on, because there is space, you know. That's a big aspect, of course,
Oh my goodness.
what can happen. What can happen.
I love that. I love that. We're gonna have to find a techie person to clip that part that you just said, because that's it. And I want to ask you more about that too. But I also want to say, so we have the Saturday thing, which is a great way to just get a taste of it. And we don't know what's going to happen, but you can come and see for yourself, and everybody that comes, you're a part of it. You know, like we come and we be together and see what unfolds. And then you also have your human design on holiday. We were calling it the Exalted Experience. That's in June. That's open to all types, and that's another intimate gathering. It's a couple more people than the Reflector one. I think it's 16 or 18.
16, maximum 18. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, like, yeah, there's this concept of space. Like, there's physical space too, and space and time, you know, in these retreats. It's like we come together and experience what unfolds, but then also there's plenty of room to be on your own holiday. They're just really so unique. They sound like true vacations to me. So what I want to ask you about is, what do you see happening when you gather with people like this? What are the experiences that people share, and what happens?
I mean, on the web page where, you know, this event is being introduced, Human Design on Holiday in Corfu, there are also some testimonials from people who have participated last year, and in addition to some others who experienced me working in different other times. And I think a couple of them actually used a word that kind of describes it in a very simple way best. They felt they could unapologetically, how do you say?
Unapologetically
be themselves, almost for the first time in their lives. And again, it's the same as what I'm talked now. I mean, the main thing is basically space, and the fact that we have a whole week in such a beautiful surrounding together. It's kind of every day, you know, more and more and more space is being created. And in that space that is being created, there is also the possibility, of course, that what comes up for people can be shared, you know, so that there can be, you know, a mirror in a way that can happen from my side also to what is happening. That can be a support for possible little rocks that are in a way that somebody can actually breathe more deeply and be there and enjoy being there fully. And really a support to really get in contact with whatever energy is there in anybody, in a way to really experience it and to become alive in it. And one of the things that I'm going to use, which I started last year, is I created a big, gigantic body graph, like a carpet that is on the floor, and people can basically create their design, set up their own design, and then a lovely way to get in contact with energy is to step into it, to actually step into your design, to step in different aspects. Somebody has a defined emotional center, or it doesn't matter what it is. And through that, kind of like, almost like walk through their own design, all the different roads that are the different channels, whether they are conscious, unconscious, and to actually experience what it feels like. And it's almost magic. It's really, I call it the magic carpet, the magic carpet. And for some people, this little experiment has helped them more than, you know, whatever they have studied and learned before in human design. Like one woman was there and she did the entire education program and she knew everything. But when she stepped into her design, it was such a breakthrough and brought such a transformation. So this is something that's going to be available again also. And the other thing is that, of course, Franziska is going to be there, who is, you know, for me, kind of like, besides being a dear friend and a fun friend, a star projector, you know,
Yeah.
who really has a lot to share with projectors. You know, so that she is the same as I have to share with reflectors. And I cross my fingers, 99% a generator will be there. That also is so connected with being a generator that she has become my teacher in a way of understanding generators, because you know, because she really, really got it down what it means to respond, and how to the cycle respond. So I'm really excited that there's going to be for each type an expert present also, you know, to kind of like give extra support. Because of course the types always play a big role in these meetings. If we have, you know, if all the types are there, I'm not sure if manifestors are rare, more rare than reflectors to find in any group. And, but it's of course, you know, to, you know, again and again, to kind of like understand how different we are just because we belong to a different type. I mean, just to really get it, the frequency is so different, the way we function, the way we tick, you know, it's like, and the way and what and how it's right for us to connect with each other, you know. And that's a kind of always a big part in almost all the meetings, because I feel like that, you know, that would need so much more support in, you know, in the whole study of human design. That to me is, you know, I mean, that's the basic work. That again and again to come back to that in a way. And there is still so much more hidden, I feel, in it that we don't know yet. That is still there to be discovered, you know.
Of course, always. Well, there you go. There you go, reading my mind again, Nisarg, because I wanted to highlight that you have support services for people there, and those are still coming into focus, I know. But like, for instance, I think there's going to be there's opportunities to like have one-on-ones with Franziska, and if I'm there, which, you know, I'm going to have a newborn, so I don't know if I'll make it, but I'll be available. And so it's like you really can make it, you know, however therapeutic or not, as suits you.
You know, it won't be therapeutic in the sense how we know therapy. It's more like it's a different alchemy. And it's really like what Ra always used to say also, it's really supporting everybody to get out of the mind, get out of the mind and into the body.
Oh, absolutely. I don't mean to say it's like therapy.
Into the energy, you know, into the energy. And it's almost like, you know, it's almost like it can happen like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I see is that some people come to design and they're really hungry, you know, they're like ready to dig and get in there and clean out. And so that's what I mean by therapeutic. It's like if you're just like want to come and, you know, just engage with all the support you can get, like there's really excellent support there. And if you want to come and just like be alone most of the time and touch base with the magic of the group, you know, and then go and have a glass of wine at the beautiful cafe or go to the beach or whatever. It's really, there's so much space for whatever kind of experience will serve you. What?
It's a a huge range. It's a huge range that is available, and a lot of fun also, because we are also planning to kind of, organize for evenings or afternoons, to kind of go off on a boat trip, to kind of have fun with what the Greek island can offer. I mean, I love, for example, those Greek festivals with the dances, the Greek dances, like, Alexis Sorbas. There was something else that just came to me. It's like one of the things that I like to introduce, and I have a particular way how I do it, is what I believe is the alchemy for everything, and that is the alchemy of acceptance. The alchemy of acceptance, it's like, acceptance means accepting what is in this moment now, and that's it. And to be supported in that, and how one can experience, just to be with what is, however comfortable or uncomfortable it is, it doesn't matter, and then through that transformation happens. And that is something I would like particularly also to, to introduce in a certain way, that people can then also take that home with themselves, to kind of like, whenever something comes up that seems unbearable, to have a tool how they can in that moment be with that, so it can have all the space it needs, and through that always some kind of change is happening, and only through that. And it has nothing to do with doing anything or wanting anything, but it's just kind of like a happening. And so this is a big thing. That's what just how to be present with what is right now happening inside of me, with me. Whatever it is, yeah. And it's a space of, it's a space of unconditional love. It's a space of acceptance. I mean, if any energy feels it's accepted without any condition, something relaxes and it responds, and something shifts. It's just how it works, and my experience. And that's the magic I feel. I mean, nothing needs to be even said, I mean, it's just my experience. Yeah. My experience.
Keynote of Nisarg, gentle.
Well, yeah.
Spacious, gentle. It really is such a gentle way to wake up, and I know for me, like I'm a fighter and a provocateur, and in the beginning of my experiment, I had to wiggle around a lot, and it was helpful for me to interact with some pretty pointy projectors who are gonna, like just kind of match that in me. But more and more, like it's just all about this really gentle medicine, being gentle with ourselves, being gentle with other people, and just letting that it's like a flower opening, to come into who we are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we are all raised and trained, I mean, in such a rough way, and we have been pressured and pushed, and we have learned to pressure and push ourselves and be tough with ourselves. And previously, before human design, I worked like a therapist for many, many years. And I could be pretty tough also. I remember, like there was one particular method how to actually push somebody to the limit so that they open up.
Yeah.
And I'm just really absolutely, completely and utterly against this method now. Because I noticed also that people would superficially kind of like open up and have a catharsis and scream and howl.
Yeah.
But in some way, the deeper thing would actually not be touched, and
I call it
each person's design.
traumatizing yourself with your trauma release. It's like, you're releasing your trauma, but then it's like, that was really traumatic. So let that go like that. So.
And each person is so unique and so different and has a different way how to connect with the world, how to open, how to respond. And to be able to see that with the design is such an incredible tool, is such an incredible help.
Yeah.
Such an support to supporting people in their process, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So,
well, I can feel us winding down here. Yeah, I thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being. And I mean, for me, the takeaway is just like, it's who you are. It's just who you are. You just be who you are, and how wonderful to provide these spaces for people to come together and experience themselves with others, because I find that's like what a lot of us get really bummed about, is that the other people who are around are really buried. And we start to wake up and then we feel really alone. So, we can connect online miraculously. Like, my mind certainly judged that a lot. But now I'm like, I have some really unique, you and I have never met in person.
right.
And then these beautiful events that you're putting on. There's one more thing I want to ask you, if it's okay.
Yeah.
So you worked with Ra, and Ra was a 5-1 and you're a 2-4. You guys have that harmonic profiles, and you and I are too. I am a 5-1. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess, what do I want to ask about this? It's like, because Ra was a heretic too, like, now that he's dead, it gets kind of crazy with, like, when people are studying design and taking what he said and to mean something. And I guess I want to hear from you, as someone who experienced him and has also been empowered in your own experiment and experience. Like, what is your view on interacting with those teachings?
What is my what?
Your view or your perspective on his teachings now.
On his teachings?
Yeah. Is that a weird question?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
It was really clear to me like 20 minutes ago, but then we went on another tangent and now I'm like trying to piece it back together.
What I can say is, for me, Ra, as a manifester, and a total individual, he received something and he passed it on, and I just always felt like whatever I received from him, it went in, and it went, I don't know, it hit a deeper place than I was even aware of or conscious of. And it began to work deep inside of me. And then from inside started revealing itself to me, what it really kind of is. And it continues to do so. Because he was never a kind of a teacher who would kind of like, he'd be able, like in 1 hour or half an hour, in such a condensed form, transmit, so much, that actually it's almost like, I don't know how, when you get a download and it's kind of like a zip file where everything is kind of like crunched together. And then, it all goes in, and then it starts to kind of like, over time, kind of like unfold itself, and slowly you begin to see, what has been in there, the kind of ingredients, the different ones kind of spread out, because they came in such a kind of like a womb, And I remember, all I always was aware of is that when this was happening, that this is really powerful stuff. And I noticed that you went in, and I knew it is there, and it will reveal itself to me in time. What exactly it actually is, and maybe it's like this for everybody. And because we are all different, it kind of is revealed to each of us in different ways. And that in turn is the beauty of how then we share with each other, because we bring together the different perspectives of all the same stuff, kind of thing.
Love that.
I don't know if that answers your questions, but and in some ways, I was so used to Ra, because I was really kind of like, for so many years. 1999, I had my reading with him. And then basically, like a good line 4, I trailed after him. I went, in the beginning, he was traveling a lot before he worked online. No? And so he was in Barcelona. I went to Barcelona. He was in Madrid. I went to Madrid. He was in Ibiza. He offered something. He was in Ibiza, in Vienna. He came to Italy a few times, in Germany. And I remember it didn't even matter what it was, And maybe this is another thing that I can share about, the work that I'm doing. What I understood is it's good for me to be in that energy field. It doesn't even matter if I understand everything immediately, but that it supports my process being in that energy field. And that is something that I keep telling also the people, some of my ex-students, if they have a chance to come yet to another Living Your Design with me, they come, even though they've done it already 5 times, because it is such a powerful energy field that is supporting them in their own process always. It's kind of like, and that's why those kind of events, like the one in Ibiza now, in Corfu now, for 1 week, in a way, it doesn't really matter what exactly is going to happen, but just to be there together in this energy field for 1 week is an incredible support. And the support is for each person individually, even though we are there as a group, which is the magic. And we will see on Saturday if it can happen a little bit also online.
Yeah.
Like you said, I have absolutely no experience on doing anything online except chatting with you, no? And to Francisca once in a while. And so I have no clue, and I don't want to promise anything to anybody with my open ego that something special will happen, but we'll see. If something can also kind of come through, something of the frequency can come through also online, and touch people in the right place so that they can be supported in whatever their process is, wherever they are, to themselves, to be themselves. And that is really my only interest in working with human design, That's my only joy, when I get to be a witness of somebody's process of coming home, of becoming myself. It's almost like, sometimes I think maybe that's my job in this life, or my whatever, to first of all for myself, but then to basically support people in this process in the most simple kind of way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so grateful for human design, that it came to me, and because it is so simple.
It is.
It's so simple. It's just so simple. It's not simple. It's so complicated. It's not. It's so simple. Yeah. For how it can work for you, it's simple. If you want to study it, of course, you need to apply yourself. But
I love that. Wow. Oh, well, I know you and I could go on and on. So
we have our open
so
circle.
I know, in our open throats. I will say I have a defined ego, and I'm rather convinced. I'm putting my heretic on the line. I'm rather convinced that something really cool is going to happen on Saturday. And of course, go with your own sense, whoever you are. But you know what you said about you know coming together just now, and I get this sense too in my life and my coaching practice. It's just like we have these kind of rendezvous, um, as spirits and bodies to come together, and yeah, it doesn't really matter what happens. It's just like if you're feeling that resonance to be there, like just get your butt over here. And it's absolutely up to you, you know. And there's a certain kind of I don't know, like a check that I feel happens on that, like the way that you're holding the space for people to gather. It's like you can't even get in there if it's not right for you. That's how I feel. I mean, and I know that's how my coaching practice is. Like, you can't even hire me if I'm not the right person for you. Which is why I've abandoned all those strategies of business and stuff. It's like it doesn't matter. Ultimately, we'll be there with the right people. So.
Yeah, I'm sure about that. I mean, otherwise, you know, I mean, I've been, you know, working with human design or teaching human design or transmitting human design since full time, since 2003. And I never until now had a website. I don't have nothing. And yet people found me.
And people keep trying to get you to have a website too.
Keep trying to get me to have a website too, you know, and with a lot of resistance and Saeri, you know, it was not so easy with me always.
Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun to challenge you a little bit.
Like a good 2-4, all I want to do is hide away and dragging me out there.
Oh no, you're easy and so lovely.
So no, but this is first so clear to me, you know, that because, you know, if it had been up to me, I mean, nothing would have ever really happened in a certain way. And yet it's, you know, when I think back, I mean, all the different countries I've traveled and worked and been called to, and, you know, and it's like not that I kind of made a plan that I'm gonna go there and here, and it's just happened.
Yeah. Well, and the website and the Facebook and all that is it really was just, I mean, it felt to me like it was called for now, you know. It's a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to provide a service, I got to make a website first. But with you, it's like it feels to me natural to have that so that you can share with more people, because you're just one woman and you're a reflector. So and you have this power with groups. I don't know if power is the right word, but there's this magical thing that happens with groups. So, you know, I find some people will really benefit from those ways of connecting with you and finding out about you without, you know, having to be a lot of work for you. I mean, that's my goal. It's just like, I want people to be able to connect with you in meaningful ways that you know, doesn't burn you out.
Great. Thank you, Saeri. I don't know which gods were sending you. And I'm looking forward to Saturday and to have some more fun and see what happens.
Yeah, me too. So so there's a Facebook page. It's Nisarg B Nikiel. human design teacher, Reflector. Look it up on Facebook, you'll find her. And all the events are posted there, including the Saturday one, where you can sign up. You can also find, you can also sign up for the event on my website, which is innerglowing.com. And excuse me. So yeah, anyway, if this resonates with you, and you're welcome to reach out to me, through a message if you want to connect and have any questions. So, all right, love. I'm gonna turn this off now. Thank you all for watching. We love you. Thank you, Nisarg.
Thank you, Saeri.